again, welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be taking you on a tour of all the Glen stations in Melbourne.
Glen is a Scottish word that means valley, but as we'll find, a lot of these stations aren't situated in a valley. The word Glen was used to connect the station to the Scottish colonial heritage of Melbourne. So where should we go to first, Griff?
Glen Waverly!
Glen Waverly.
Our first station is Glen Waverly. It is the youngest of the Glen stations on this line. Glen Waverly is a major bus interchange for the eastern suburbs. The Extrapolis 100 trains run on the Glen Waverly line. These were built in Ballarat and commenced on the line around 2002.
Glen Waverly takes its name from the Waverley novels by Sir Walter Scott. These were a very popular series of novels in the 19th century. Any place you've encountered called Waverley, from Sydney to the US state of Iowa, is named for them too. Holmes Glen was named after Councillor Holmes, one of the founding members of the Malvern Council. It sits on the edge of the Malvern Valley. The nearby golf course was one of the first public golf courses in Melbourne. It was built by the government in 1930 to make golf more accessible to non-rich people. Holmes Glen is distinguished by these pink-coloured buildings that are now Holmes Glen TAFE. They were an ammunition factory in World War II before being converted into a factory to make prefabricated concrete houses.
Holmes Glen is situated on Warrigal Road and intersects with the 903 bus route from Mordialloc to Altona.
Glen Iris was named for the Iris, the ship that the first British settler in the area came out on. The suburb of Glen Iris is split in two by the Monash Freeway and separated by the Kooyonkook Creek. Up until the 1970s, the freeway here used to end at Glen Iris. The residents fought to protect the creek from its expansion, but eventually the traffic became so bad they were forced to concede defeat. It was joined with the Mulgrave Freeway and became the Monash Freeway in the 1980s.
Glen Iris is where the number 6 tram to Moreland terminates. It is one of the longest tram lines in Melbourne. You can also catch the 612 bus to Chadstone Shopping Centre and Box Hill. The 734 bus to Glen Waverly leaves from here too.
Glen Ferry Station is named after Glen Ferry Road. It was first called Barclay Road until 1872, when the road name was changed in honour of Peter Ferry's property called Glen Ferry. Glen Ferry Station opened in 1882. Most of the elaborate and impressive shops along the street were built around this time too. The building of the tramway along Glen Ferry Road in the 1910s caused the train line to be raised to where it is today.
Route 16 on Glen Ferry Road runs from Cotton Road to Melbourne University.
Glen Huntly is named after a ship, the Glen Huntly, 2 words, that arrived in Port Phillip from Scotland in April 1840. Typhoid had taken hold on board and the ship was forced to land at Point Ormond. This was where Victoria's first quarantine station was set up to deal with the crisis. Supplies and provisions were brought down a dirt track from Melbourne that became Glen Huntly Road. Until April 2023, Glen Huntly was 1 word before being changed back to the original 2 words after the level crossing was removed.
The 67 tram from Carnegie to Melbourne University runs along Glen Huntly Road.
Glen Bvy was named after the Scottish town of Glen Bvy in Aberdeenshire. The station was originally intended to be named for local settler Theodore Napier, but there were many places called Napier already. Although born in Melbourne, Napier was very proud of his Scottish heritage, so he suggested the station be named for the ancestral birthplace of his father, grandfather and great-grandfather. The station opened in 1922 when the government electrified the Craigieburn line. Glenroy services the Melbourne suburb of the same name. It is believed to be named for the Scottish town of Glenroy, the birthplace of local landowner Duncan Cameron. However, Donald Angus Kennedy, who bought the estate in the mid-1840s, may have also bestowed the name. Unlike the glens of the Glen Waverly line, neither Glenroy or Glen Bvy stations are situated in valleys.
Route 534 goes from Glenroy to Coburg via Sydney Road.
The smallest of the Glen stations and the furthest from the city, Wattle Glen was originally called Bailey, spelt B-A-L-E-E, after a local cattle station when it opened in 1912. This was an Indigenous word meaning watery. 10 years later, it was renamed Wattle Glen, one word, because residents considered the name Bailey repugnant and vulgar. I don't really know why, because it meant someone might be out on bail. According to Urban Dictionary, it now means a really lovable and kind person, so perhaps it's gone full circle.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and stay tuned for our next video. They're ham stations in Melbourne.
That's because there wasn't any called bacon or pork. Bye!
Very funny, ha ha. See you later.
Peace!